Hey, Bobby here from Wedding Film School with the third video in my series all about how to edit a cinematic wedding video, where I'm taking you behind the scenes into a real live wedding edit and showing you everything that I do to make my edits better and to be more efficient. In this video, we are focusing on putting together our multicam edits and finding the best audio to build out the roadmap of our highlight film. And if these videos have been helpful to you, I would love to have you subscribe and follow along for more wedding filmmaking videos. Now let's jump into our editor. If you missed video 1 and 2, I recommend watching them first, but we've imported and organized all of our footage using keywords and folders, and we've also selected our music. You can see that I'm working a little ahead of where we are, but that just allows me to put this editing tutorial together for you better, so ignore anything we haven't yet covered. And of course, we talked about how important music is to the highlight film, but today we're focusing on the other audio aspect, which is our sound bites from throughout the day. These are what we use to really build the story and make the video especially unique to our couples. So the first thing we have to do is sync up all of our cameras and audio, and Final Cut makes this super easy. And if you follow these videos, you've actually already done some of the work. I'm going to give a brief overview here, but if you want something a bit more in depth, you can check out the video I have linked above. If you remember, we divided everything up by scene, and we have a scene called ceremony. And all these clips, we had designated their scene to be ceremony. But we also labeled the camera angle for each camera, which is important because Final Cut will now automatically put all of the shots from one camera on the same angle, and a new angle for each new camera. And remember that your audio track should also have a unique camera angle labeled so that they go on their own track as well. So you're going to go to the ceremony section and highlight all of your video and audio clips that you want to show up in the multicam clip. Right click and hit new multicam clip and hit OK. And I've already made mine, and if I double click it, it brings me into the view of all of the included video and audio tracks. I do like to go in and make sure that things are lined up correctly, so I'll click through each video track, making it the angle I am viewing, make sure my audio tracks are turned on, and I will just give a few clips a brief listen, making sure it's accurately lined up. From there, I make a project called Ceremony, and I drop the whole multicam clip in there. And at least for me, if I have multiple audio sources, I find it best to set my multicam clip to one of the audio sources and then just copy paste my other audio sources from the multicam clip in this project so that I have easy access to all of them. Then we start to look for the audio clips to use for the story. So I typically watch through the entire ceremony looking for good sound bites, and you can see I've already cut out a few here.
We are here today in one of our favorite places.
This one is part of the vows, but it also kind of sets up where they are. And of course, the camera angle that it's on isn't necessarily the angle that I will use visually in the highlight. I can change at any time.
Today, Chris and Emily take us out of our usual routines to share the...
So that one is kind of similar to an intro. I have a part of his vows over here. And so I've narrowed in on the things I want to use to build out this story. And this project will always be here. I can go back and grab more if I need to. So I'm going to copy the pieces that I know I want to use, go over to my highlight film project and paste them in the timeline. You can see I have one here, which is the groom's vows. I have the bride's vows here, and then that intro piece from the officiant over here, which is already covered by some other footage, some other B-roll, but you can see I cut to it as well. The next step then for me is to do pretty much the same thing with the toasts or speeches at a reception. Speeches for me typically aren't a multicam edit. I do run two cameras, but I find it just as easy to find the first noise the speech giver makes on my camera audio as well as the good audio feed and just line them up manually. And I will do that in a different project called Reception. So I'll go in, I'll find the speech clips which start here, and I'm just going to find a spot that's easy to line up, go find the audio clip and find that same spot and drop it down under. And actually, I forgot, in this wedding, we used something called the Pico mic, which is like the Rode Wireless Go. So it fed right into my camera directly. So there was no amplified sound, and this was the best solution for this scenario. So for this edit, I don't have to actually line up any audio tracks, but typically I would. Then I'll be doing the exact same thing, going through each speech and pulling out little clips that I think work well. So let's say I like this right here. I'm going to cut it out, and when I'm all done, I'm going to copy everything and paste it in my highlight timeline. So now we have everything sitting in our timeline, and next steps for me are to work through my song and laying out where I think I want some of these audio clips to go.
Today, Chris and Emily take us out of our usual routines to share their love with us and to share their love.
So I wanted that early in the film. You can see I faded down the music a bit, and the levels aren't finalized or anything like that, but I do a little bit. Over here, I wanted part of the vows, and really I'm looking for parts in that song that I want to emphasize and build around visually, and use those parts to impact the edit, as well as parts that I'm okay bringing down the volume a bit and using that section as a backing track for an important piece of audio. And of course, as we start to work through the edit, we can always change things around, but I'm going to get all these pieces of audio in a place that I like initially and ready to go before we move on to the next step. That's everything for the multicam editing and audio selects. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.